Hey everybody! Welcome back to Dr Cortex, where we are hyper-spinning our way into the interstellar disco that is Cortex's stages.
Well, here we are again. I wouldn't necessarily call this irony, but don't you find it a little odd that we keep meeting under these same world domination circumstances? Why not just give up? And let me win for once!
Don't worry, Dr. Cortex. Now that my elemental powers have reached maximum capacity, this little geek is gonna wish he was never created.
Nice little nod there to Crash's origins, I think. It's always a sign of a truly terrifying villain when they're begging for you to let them win. I don't understand why anyone does that. Anyway, level 21. This is Crash and Burn, and it's actually a very fun level. This is really what we can expect from Cortex's stages. Is the difficulty increases quite significantly. There are some great set pieces over these next few levels, and increased difficulty, great set pieces, and oh, that's pretty much it actually. There's more of these little thin platforms here. Thin platforms, small platforms. We've seen them all throughout the game, but box gems are also going to be... Box gems also become a lot harder to deal with. There's a lot more... The added difficulty in these levels comes from there just being a lot more stuff to kill you. Those birds there, another new enemy. They fly up into the air, dive back down, and cause a shockwave when they get down. It can break boxes, as you saw just there, and if you don't stay out their way, they can take you out without you really noticing. This bonus is fairly simple, but it does expose one of the little bits of bullshit that we're going to be dealing with throughout this video. That jump's tricky, and any jump like that amongst that kind of nitro arrangement is going to be tricky. I was concerned when I hit that TNT box that it might trigger these nitros, but it didn't. There's no real reason to sneak over those, given that you can pretty easily jump to the crate on the end, or just jump completely over with a double jump. And there's the bullshit. It is a 2D section, and we moved too far into the background and missed that box. I won't spoil things, it's not spoiling things too much to say that that is something that happens more than once in this video. And it's one of the things that really runs against Dr Cortex. In that, whereas I think in Crash 3 and Crash 2, and in Crash 1 as well, the 2D platforming sections were a lot thinner and had some safeguards to prevent you from to help prevent you doing that, from going off the foreground or the background of a 2D stage. Dr Cortex has no such safeguards, and the platforms are a lot wider. So you have to think about your level of depth, even when you're supposedly in a 2D section. And this is something that will catch out people who are coming to this game from Cortex Strikes Back or Warped. Now we're moving into like the second half of the level, and things start getting a little bit more industrial. And that rock is a bitch. Basically, the rock falls down these sloping platforms. It doesn't go all the way up to the boxes at the end, so you can use them as helpful stopping points. That wireframe there is, I believe, a skull and crossbones platform. So if I hadn't gone down to the rock, you would have seen that. One thing about the Skull and Crossbones platforms is that failures in bonus games don't count as deaths for the purpose of those. So you can fail at bonus games all you like, but still get the Skull and Crossbones platform and whatever coloured or clear gem it ends up leading to. Here I'm trying to remember the controls for the Apple launcher to show it off, but I decided there's not much point in using it there. I will show that off later in the video. As I mentioned last time, the reason we haven't showed it off yet is because you can't actually get it out in the warp room. But a clear gem, and we're out of here. Another crystal, another gem, and moving on to an absolute bitch of a level. This is Gold Rush. I like the music in this level. It's very kind of relaxed. It sounds like the music you would use for a Western stage. I just like that little stack of boxes because I can get the TNTs landing on the ground at the same time. And we have 3 masks, so a bit of invincibility, which isn't going to dick us over like it did in Tsunami. If people who have played Crash games a lot know that the final level of a world generally contains a little something, and we will be seeing that later, and it was one of those things lit up my face when I saw it, because I couldn't quite remember if this game did it, but that's alluding to something we're going to be seeing later. More of these thin platforms. Those were kind of cool the first time we saw them. I think it was in the very first level we saw that kind of thing, but when they're reusing that kind of hazard constantly, it does start to get a bit tiresome. This is a great bonus level, because this bonus is a bonus with, I believe, no nitros. It's all TNTs. It's all there's a nitro. A hell of a nitro, actually. But yeah, this bonus is less about just getting to the end and more about just getting what you can. And even though I jumped on the platform at the end before that TNT box blew, it did count. If you go back and watch the box counter stutters slightly. That little platform, if you go back and look to the left of the side of the screen, you'll be able to just about see a little platform. I believe that's a Skull and Crossbones platform. I can't remember offhand what gem it leads to. I believe it's a coloured gem, but it's a nice thing to see there. There's more 2D shenanigans and more hanging, because this is great. This is great stuff. Nothing really to say. We are hanging from the vine. There are those scorpion enemies, just like there were last time. This isn't the last time we're going to be seeing hanging in this. As any bits of hanging level in this. The thing that I find interesting about that little platform just there was, I believe you can only run when there's a netting above you. So anytime you jump, you're going to end up on the netting. This section is great. You can use square to kick up Crash's feet to pick up the boxes above, and to move the cart forward, you just hammer X. It's one of those things that's going to be. It's fun now. It's going to be even more fun when it comes time to do relics. And that scorpion is a bastard. That's how the checkpoint is very far back. So I lost about 3 lives doing this. So by now in the recording I've spent about 10 minutes just trying to get through this section. So on all hanging sections from now on, you're going to see me being a lot more cautious and using the tornado spin to reduce the kind of precise timing you sometimes need to hit stuff on those hanging sections. This is a dangerous stack of boxes. You either go straight for it, abandon whatever's on the bottom. There's another platform there. So I've no idea what that platform is for. Given that, as I mentioned, there was what appeared, at least, to be a skull and crossbones platform earlier in the level, but then there's another platform there. I believe that's a coloured gem platform, because it's slightly different shape to the other platforms we have. You can jump straight up there to go further in the level, but there's a bunch of boxes hidden back here. And the Apple launcher. As you can see, the reticle is 3D. It doesn't make the beep that the robot suit does, but the reticle also doesn't fight you. And did that look like a climbing net? I actually genuinely thought that was a platform, which is why I was trying to jump onto it. But yeah, the Apple launcher doesn't beep like the robot suit does when it's on a enemy or a box. But it also, the reticle also stays where it is. It doesn't fight you and try to return to a neutral position, which makes the Apple launcher a lot easier to use than the robot suit. And that guy will not behave. A bunch of bouncing here, just to get these 6 boxes down here. There in the background you can see the Prospector enemy. They're an absolute nightmare to deal with. They basically press down on their little plunger, and they're generally in areas where you can't get up to spin them. So your only hope to take them out is by using the Apple launcher. Yeah, what they basically do is press down on that plunger and release 3 sticks of dynamite. They bounce around randomly before finally exploding. So generally you need to... It's generally a good idea to watch them in the background a few times to see like how far their dynamite will. And again, 2D sections. It's a good idea to watch the Prospectors to see how far the sticks will bounce, and then just try and clear the whole area in one non-stop run. I was standing in the middle of those before I remembered some of them might be nitros, and indeed 2 of them were, so if I had been standing in them that would have been bad times. Up there is the exclamation, is the nitro exclamation box. We had the springboard to get up to it, but and yes, 1 freaking box. And I think for the first time in this LP, when I've missed a box, I genuinely don't know where it is. Like, I've watched this video 4 times now trying to spot where that box might have been, and I can't find it. I can't remember where that box was. If you saw it, please let me know in the thread. Because, you know, I'd quite like that box gem. So, atlasphere time.
Bring it! Brain-dead bandicoot.
The Cortex has better insults than all of the elemental masks. So it's back to great stuff for the atlasphere levels. This level is just a ton of fun. And it's a ton of fun for all the reasons Arctic Roll was not a great level. This is all about... There's plenty of areas in this level where you can just speed and blast through it. There are lots of these little box walls which are great fun to run through. And it's all fine control. It's all fine control, But after like these fine control sections, they give you areas where they just basically say, we dare you to move through this area quickly. And that's great fun. And there's this little area, which is kind of like a pachinko machine. You just let the ball fall. I love that, and that's one of those things that really come into play when we go for the relic run. The little back rail on the wall there, that basically allows you to just really speed around this little circular platform. All of the classic bosses appear in this, and I was sure there were some boxes up here, but I was wrong. Those flaming wheels will naturally take you out in a single hit, and there's no boxes out here on these little jetties either. Let's turn of speed to get around Tiny, and there are some boxes there. However, they're the only boxes in that section. This section is a little disconcerting because there's the regular boxes on this side and the nitro boxes on that side, which leads you to believe that there would be lots of regular boxes on the side with the regular box and lots of nitros on the side with the nitro, and they actually put it the other way around. More boxes, and I dropped down that route to see if there were any regular boxes back here, but there aren't. It's just a load of nitros. It's a tricky section if you choose to go for it, and the platforms are a bit more windy at the end of it as well. These arms are simple enough. They'll push you off the edge of the stage. They're pretty easy to cheat. It's pretty easy to cheese this section if you just go up there. You can roll along the top of them. So that's all kinds of challenge from those taken away. There's another big nitro path down there. And this lift is kind of dangerous because if you go for it at the wrong time, it does dip down low, and it can be kind of hard to judge when it does that dip. This section you might think it's tipping you one way or the other. Like on one side there'd be boxes, on the other side there'd be death, but no, there's just boxes on this side, and you can roll around to grab them anyway. It's really another thing added in to make the relic a little more difficult. So one of the things this level does a lot is there's a lot of focus on the relic, because there's a lot of stuff just to try and slow you down. Like the little pachinko machine, this section there. It's kind of like there's a lot of bits of machinery that are there to slow you down, and this section ties into that as well. Like two of these routes don't go anywhere, and just this top steep route does. So it's very much in your best interests. It's very much in your best interest to follow this route here, even if it means waiting for the lift, because you'll just have this huge long stretch here to build up lots of speed, and that's necessary when it comes to getting up here. Another route with lots of nitros down there. Dingodile and Entropy are up here to try and cause some misery. There's a nice big box wall. Another wall of boxes. I'm not entirely sure whether you can get through that door there, but it's a dead end if you don't. So this little section, nice little maze. Dingodile is in this little section twice for some reason. Entropy's up here as well. Yeah, the basic idea here is if you're on a route that will eventually lead you to the exit of the maze, there are apples. And if there are no apples, then you're on your way towards a dead end. And indeed, Dingodile. So just follow the apples. Follow the apples and they will eventually lead you to the exit. And again, this is I think another bit of relic design. And finally, bit of a jump to get to this final little chute. I thought I missed a box, I didn't. But yeah, you can just let yourself run through this, which is a lot of fun, as we have seen in the past. The Nitro box is over here, along with an assortment of some other boxes. And we have missed boxes. 5 of them, in fact. So, we will be back here. Moving on. I'm not saying goodness gracious. But yeah, this level's called Crate Balls of Fire. And we're starting off by hanging. Because, you know, that's always a fine way of setting the scene for a level. Just hanging, slowly swinging. There's just no point to that section. All you have is... it's just there to slow you down. Like, there's one enemy on it who's easily avoided. There really is just no reason to have that there. And the same goes for that section. Like, there's nothing there. Oh, we're moving on. These nets, however, do serve a purpose. Because those platforms down there, they appeared in Crash 3 as well, in the future levels. Basically, they'll fall horizontal, and then spin up vertically again. Checkpoint, and we're moving to the bonus level already. I love the music for the futuristic bonus levels. There is a hang net up there, but I have no idea why. It's another level that's all about just having loads of nitros around. Again, you don't have to sneak over these. In fact, I would say it's probably advised against, and I do end up using the Apple launcher. Just to get rid of them, because they're blocking the way to these boxes over here. Quick bounce on the TNTs, and that will deal with the exclamation mark box, which gives us an extra life. Because, you know, we totally need more extra lives. We have 99. We are maxed out. And you consider I've died. I've probably died at least 20 times over the course of the LP, so, you know. It's not like we've got up to 99 lives and we haven't been losing them. We've been losing them regularly. And pretty much without cessation. And yet we're still up to 99 and we're still collecting them. Like, it's one of the things I like that platform games more recently have kind of gone away from. More fun with the robot now. Platform games now have kind of gone away from the whole life system. There are other punishments. There are other punishments, and we have invincibility, which is very hard to identify when you're in the robot suit, because it kind of appears as a headdress, but it's also kind of hard to see, and with the fire chasing you, that kind of drowns out the music. Generally, it's not a good idea to have invincibility in the robot suit if you can help it. So this is just a chase scene. We've seen plenty of them, except we're in the robot suit. And there's an exclamation mark box there, which I don't get. And that fills in those 4 boxes there. So I get to the end of that section and I just decide, nope, I need that exclamation mark box, so I'm just throwing myself off the edge. Takes a quick tap. You have to be careful when getting it because you can get stuck behind it and that'll lead to an inevitable death. So your best option is to try and hit it from the side, or even better, try and land on top of it, because then you don't lose any kind of forward momentum by veering off. Yeah, I like the platform games recently have drifted away from lives, and there's another death there. Game designers have come up with other punishments beside just taking away a life. Like, a lot of the same punishments have remained. Stuff like going back to a previous point in the level, which this game does as well, to its credit. But they just taken away the lives because it didn't. The life system doesn't need to be there. This is the dark section, so naturally we have those platforms that you need to be able to see to time your jumps. And we have some moving platforms because those are always fun in dark levels. I don't get why the robot suit levels have these dark sections. There's just no point to them. Blow up the nitros, get the box gem, leave the level. And so, we finally arrive at level 25.
Crash, you've been a naughty boy, but now that's going to end.
That's probably my favourite transmission in the entire game. Just because it does sound sinister. Like, Cortex suddenly has this confidence about him. He does have that I am going to beat you confidence that was kind of lost in his first transmission, where he just said, please let me win. And now he's, I'm going to kill you. It's great. But anyway, level. This is Cortex Vortex. It is the final regular level in the game. It is hard as balls, and it is also a lot of fun. Believe it or not, those things can coexist. Even though we're this late in the game, we're still introducing new elements, which is one of the things that Crash has always been great about. I don't believe we've seen much of these guys. I think they appeared in Crash 3 as well. Basically, if you get too close to their shield when they shove it forwards, they'll shove you off either off the platform or into a group of nitros. So I did quite like the symmetry there of he's trying to shove us into the nitros, so we spin him into them instead. The lasers rise up and down, so the idea is generally to either slide under them or jump over them, depending on how high they are. However, the double jump makes them completely trivial, because you can, no matter how high they are, you can just jump over them. And that is bullshit, right there. I get trapped in it. I get trapped in the laser even though the actual laser is nowhere near me. But when it gets to a certain point, it creates an invisible wall. So you can't. It creates an invisible wall at a certain point, which is just absolute bullshit. And I didn't clear that row of explosions in time. It's one of those things you have to be careful with when it comes to TNTs. You have to watch out for it, and there's really no reason to be all that heartbroken over the loss of the... There's really no reason to be heartbroken over the loss of the springboard platform, because you can double jump to get that box, but this box here is a little more problematic. Purely because if you're slightly off with your jump, you're going to hit that TNT. and tornado spinning can be a little difficult when you got that guy throwing stuff around. More masks. More bullshit from the lasers. I was nowhere near that thing. Nice little cluster of TNT boxes here. I was kind of a bit fine getting clear of that, but I didn't pay for it, so all things are right. This section's pretty cool. And behold your god of fire and damnation. Every Crash game does it, and it's always fun. Here's 3 masks, have invincibility, you've made it this far, we're going to let you basically just have invincibility and just run through an entire ocean of nitros. It is such a brilliant set piece. But that's going to do it. We are not fighting Cortex in this video. We're going to go to the save screen, and I'll see you next time when we'll start collecting gems. Bye bye.